Howdy ho, everybody. Today I would like to show you guys some drawings I did of some friends of mine from work. So I used to do this thing a lot when I was younger, where I would like make up superpowers for people, like all my friends and like people I would meet, coworkers, things like that. I would give them superpowers and kind of fit them into my own superhero universe. So I kind of had this idea of doing this for these guys. These are the managers at my current job. And I've assigned superpowers to each of them and drawn them, and I presented them to them, and they seem to all really like it. So anyway, let's get to that, and let's see what I came up with. So this guy is Isekai. So Isekai is a genre of anime, which basically the word in Japanese, Isekai, means other world. And the genre of anime is that basically somebody from our world gets transported to another world, an alternate reality, usually a fantasy realm, like from like Lord of the Rings or something like that. Um, so this guy is a friend of mine from work who is like really into anime. That's what we bonded over. The two of us, we both into anime, and he has this really cool Aztec inspired tattoo on his arm. So I decided to give him the power that basically this mystic tattoo appeared on his arm, and when he touches people, he can isekai them, basically transport them to another world. He can also transport himself to that same world, and while he's in that world, he's basically the ruler of that realm, and every person and creature and thing in that realm basically bow to him and do his bidding and will like serve him and fight for him and do whatever. So something interesting about that power is it's a one for one swap. So it's like an equivalent exchange. So if he touches you and sends you to the other world, somebody from that world comes to our world. So they swap places. So essentially everyone from our world has a equivalent in the other world. It could be another person, it could be a tree, it could be a monster, it could be an object. So say he touches me and I get sent to his world, and I get swapped out for, let's say, a magic sword from that world that he can then use in his fight against evil in our world. Um, yeah, so this is Isekai. I thought it was a really cool idea. It was inspired by his love of anime. And yeah, so this is Isekai. Okay, up next is Triage. Um, so this one, she's one of the only people in this group that I actually asked what she would want as a superpower. I was struggling to come up with one, but also I just ask random questions like that with these guys anyway. We have fun conversations at work, and so I asked her what kind of superpower she would want, and she basically said she would want the power to heal herself or other people because she wanted to be useful to other people. So it got me thinking about what would be an interesting healing power, because I didn't want to just give her a power that she just basically healed people. So I named her Triage because triage is basically a thing that they do in crises. Nurses or doctors or medical personnel or whatever will pick out who's the most wounded and who's least wounded and treat them accordingly. So, with that in mind, I decided to give her the power to, she can heal you for 24 hours of any wound. So basically, you could be dead or should be dead, like you got shot in the head. And if she gets to you in time, she'll touch you, heal you. That wound is gone completely for 24 hours. So you would have to seek medical attention within that time to actually be properly healed. So I suppose there are some wounds you probably just couldn't survive from, but most of the time you could like go to the doctor or the hospital and they could treat that wound like as it's slowly coming back, they could slowly mend it until you're okay. So basically, she could just pretty much make anyone immortal. But like I said, within 24 hours, those wounds would come back. So if you don't get the medical attention you need, you could die or suffer the consequences of that wound. Something else that I gave her the power of is she's a pseudo speedster. So when she's in the pursuit of a wound, she can move at lightning speed, as fast as light, straight to that person who's wounded and heal them. So she couldn't just like wake up one day and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm late for work," and go super fast to go to work. Unless she knew there was someone at work that was wounded and then she's in pursuit of that wound to heal it, she then could go fast. So it kind of gives her a bit of um, disadvantage, but also an advantage kind of thing. So it's not just like the perfect healing power kind of thing. Um, so yeah, this is Triage. Okay, so this lovely lady is Gemini. I based her powers off of the fact that we had a conversation about everybody's zodiac. So their star signs and stuff, and she said she was a Gemini, which is supposed to be sort of two-faced. So I was surprised she was a Gemini, and we were talking about like how accurate our signs are to our personalities and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, "There's no way you're a Gemini. You're so nice. I don't understand." And she's like, "But really think about it." She's like, "I'm super nice, but I can be pretty mean sometimes too, or whatever." And I wouldn't say she's mean, but like she can flip it. She's really good. She's a good boss in that sense. Like she can be really nice, but if she needs to be a little bit harder, she'll be a little bit harder. Anyway, so I thought of it as being two-faced, and I originally wanted her to literally have two faces. Like she wore a mask, which was her more harsher side, but it was basically just her face with like a mean look expression. And then when she didn't wear the mask, she was just her normal face. But you could see kind of when I'm drawing it out, when I'm doing the inking, you can look at it, and I ended up changing the look of the mask a lot. So originally I wanted that more like humanoid, like just basic human face, but then I went with a more ended up going with a more like demonic, evil side, with the cracked mask and stuff like that, kind of seeing like the juxtaposition in the personalities. So her powers are when she's not wearing the mask, she has an invincible, unpierceable force field around her body. So she cannot be harmed. You can't touch her. She's got a happy go lucky personality, and you literally can't touch her. You can throw anything you want at her, and it doesn't do anything. But when she puts the mask on, she becomes this incredible martial artist fighter, that the same force that is the force field she's now able to manipulate it into like force swords, or kunai, or some kind of weapon, or she can even launch them at you like a projectile, like a fireball type thing, like an energy blast. But she can be harmed in that form. So yeah, she has two different power sets depending on which personality she takes on. Oh snap! It's Boogie Night. So this one is a friend of mine from work as well, and he's a little bit older, and he loves to dance. Okay, so he has like this large catalog of dances, from like old timey dances to the more modern, like popular dances, and he can do just about any of them. and he'll just bust out a move randomly or whatever at work, and it's great and awesome to see him do it. He's really good at it. But he also has this habit that he does where he snaps his finger and then waves his hand. Um, and he basically does it after he does a task. Like he'll finish something and then snap his fingers and wave his hands, basically telling us it's all finished, it's all good, it's all done. And so I like the idea of incorporating his snap into his love of dance. So I ended up calling him Boogie Night, basically based off of that movie Boogie Nights, but I'm spelling it like as with a K, meaning knight in shining armor. And so Boogie Night has the ability to make other people mimic his actions. So let's say he busts a move and then walks away, he leaves a zone. It's like a 2-foot zone that if someone else steps into that spot, they automatically have to do the action he just did. So if he does a dance, they have to do a dance. If he throws a rock, they have to throw a rock if they step in that space. So it can lead to a lot of interesting like ways to capture bad guys or to perform an attack or whatever. But in order for him to set that zone into place, he has to snap his hand and wave it. Okay, snap his fingers and wave his hand. Uh, so yeah, that's Boogie Night. I thought that power was very interesting. I came up with that just based on the fact, adding the snap and the dancing, and I wanted him to be able to make other people dance. But I didn't want it to be just limited to only dancing. I wanted him to have a wider utility of his power. Anyway, so that's the last hero. These were all friends of mine from work, and I'm glad I was able to do this for them. They all seem to love them. Each of them fit the personality of like each power fit the personality of each person. Uh, I had to draw them based on memory. So I didn't have photos of these guys to go off of. So I did a lot of character studying for months with these guys. And I'm sure all of them were like, John, why are you staring at me? You're just being weird and I don't like it. But they didn't seem to have a problem with it. They didn't really seem to notice. I kind of brought that up to them when I was talking to them and showing them the pictures. It's like, sorry, I was staring at you for the last month or so. I was just trying to make sure I got your facial features and stuff. I think they all turned out very good. Most of them look very close to what the actual people look like. It's a cartoon version of them and a sort of caricature of those people. But I thought I did a good job. They all seemed to like it. And yeah, thank you for watching my video. Thank you for looking at these superheroes with me. And remember, the number one rule of life is don't die. Toodles.
Molly, Molly biscuits, sitting in the sunshine, soaking up the sunshine, sitting in the sun.